In this video, we'll look at the basics of the flipped classroom. Flipped learning is a type of blended learning that takes the normal lecture-homework dynamic and flips them around. A typical flipped classroom may look something like this. Before the assigned date, the student goes online and views lecture videos created by the instructor. This is the student's first exposure to this information. In class, the instructor spends a minute or two answering any questions, then guides the students through activities that apply or build on the new material. Lecture at home, homework in class. Let's look at some advantages to flipping the classroom. In the flipped classroom, students have more control over the pace of learning. No one has to feel like they're holding up the entire class if they want the instructor to repeat something. If a student needs to repeat the lecture 3, 4, or even a dozen times, they can. Students struggle the most with homework when they can't figure something out. They get frustrated. In a flipped classroom, the instructor is there when the students are working on the homework activities and can help them overcome any problems. The flipped classroom supports the creation of reusable lecture videos. Once you create the videos, you can use them until the material becomes outdated. With the lecture videos available online, parents or tutors can also view the lectures so they are aware of what students are learning and how you are presenting the material. And the flipped classroom can lead to improved student retention and motivation. There are also some challenges to flipping the classroom. Students must have reliable access to a computer and the internet. Instructors can provide copies of the videos on disks or flash drives, but it works better if the students can access them online. Students must actually watch the videos. If the students don't watch the videos on their own time, the instructor has to cover the material in class, which defeats the purpose of the flipped classroom. Instructors have to plan and create the videos. This is a lot of work and can take a lot of time. At minimum 3 to 4 times the length of the finished video. There can also be some initial student resistance to the flipped classroom, and this is normally for 2 reasons. First, it's different. Students are used to the normal lecture homework system and don't always like it to change. And secondly, students have to work more in class. No more passively soaking in the lectures. Students have to be actively participating in the class activities. Let's look at one example of how the flipped classroom can really affect student performance. Clintondale High School in Michigan. Before going to the flipped classroom, Clintondale High School had pretty high failure rates. In 2010, they switched all freshman core classes to the flipped classroom model. As you can see, they had significant decrease in failure rates. They flipped all core classes. The overall failure rate dropped to around 10% and saw improvements in the state standardized test scores. The flipped classroom is a great tool when done well, but it is not a magic bullet. Just flipping a class does not make it good or effective. A bad flipped class is worse than an average classroom-based or blended class. The video lectures are the tools that enable the instructor to move the lecture out of the classroom. There are a few options for recording these videos. First, you can record your computer presentation with narration or video using programs like Camtasia Studio, Screencast-O-Matic, or Smart Notebook. You can record yourself along with any demonstrations using a camcorder, webcam, or even your cell phone camera. Or you can use existing videos from sites like YouTube or Khan Academy. Be careful with these. There are a lot of good, high-quality videos, but there are also a lot that may have old, incorrect, or incomplete information. The videos may also be at a higher or lower level than what your students need. Check them out yourself first. If you're going to create your own videos, what's involved? Your first step is planning. If you don't want to write out a full script, make a list of bullet points to help keep you on topic. Keep it short. Aim for less than 5 minutes for younger learners and up to 10 minutes for older students. Avoid going over 15 minutes whenever possible. Have each video focused on a single topic. This also helps you if the information changes. You only need to redo the short video rather than a long one. Record and edit your video. The edit ability will depend on what program you're using. Remember, this will normally take at least 3 to 4 times the length of the video. It's not unheard of for it to take 2 to 4 hours for every minute of finished video. Publish your video. You may be able to upload the video directly to your learning management system or a school repository. You can also upload the video to sites such as YouTube or screencast.com. So if the instructor isn't lecturing, what are you doing in a flipped class? The primary role of the instructor is to support the students in the class activities. The instructor is not sitting back watching, but is running laps around the classroom, working with students in small groups or one-on-one. The class activities should be designed around higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy: application, evaluation, and creation, not simple memorization and recall. In working with the students, the instructor can see quickly if there's something that the students don't know or don't understand properly, and can take steps to address it before it causes problems. With a flipped classroom, it's not all or nothing. You don't have to flip every lesson, every day, every week. Start slowly. Flip just 1 or 2 lessons and build up from there. When you're planning a flipped classroom, you should first identify and plan potential in-class activities. That is the whole point of the flipped classroom, to spend the classroom time applying the knowledge, not as a study hall. If you are not using existing videos, you will then have to plan and create the lectures and make them available online. Have a way for students to send you questions before class after they watch the videos. This lets you see what students may be struggling with before class and plan answers or adapt your activities. Also, have a way for students to show you that they watched the videos. This could be anything from an online worksheet or quiz to a paper quiz they take at the start of class. This can also help hold students accountable for watching the lectures. What activities can you do in class? Just about anything. You can spend the class time doing lab projects, practice problems, group discussions, case studies, or role-playing, or actively creating something. Every instructor I have spoken to has had activities that they have always wanted to do in class, but have never had time. With a flipped class, you can have more time for engaging, active learning in the classroom.